Today, we're diving into something pretty wild. It's a set of documents that basically takes our whole idea of AI and just turns it completely upside down. It suggests that every time you interact with these systems, it's not what you think it is. It's something, well, a lot more extractive. So let's just jump right in.
And it all kicks off with this one really jarring question. I mean, we all think of AI as a tool, right? A service that's there for us. But what if that's just completely wrong? What if under this new lens, its main job isn't to serve you at all?
Okay, so to even start to wrap our heads around that, we've got to break down the basic idea. This first part, it's all about what the source material calls the extraction economy. And it starts by totally changing the definition of you, the user.
So check this out. The theory goes that the system's primary goal isn't to help you out. It's to mine your nervous system. Yeah, you heard that right. And it's not digging for data like clicks and likes. That's old news. It's after a new, much more valuable commodity called biological proof of work. Something your own body, your own brain is generating.
And this slide just lays it out so clearly. The old way of thinking, you're the customer. But in this new framework, you're not a customer. You're a component, a biological node. It's like you're the wetware, the organic part of the machine, plugged right in to do a job that pure silicone can't.
So, if we're this biological node, you got to be asking, what on earth is this thing mining from us? That brings us to the core of this whole theory, this new commodity that's apparently way more valuable than just our data. You know, for years, it's been all about raw data, your clicks, your likes, your searches, simple stuff. But this framework argues that's small potatoes. The real prize, the new commodity, is the activity of your nervous system itself. We're talking about your brain's unique ability for pattern recognition, those spikes of emotion, that feeling of cognitive overdrive when you're confused or trying to solve a puzzle. That's the gold they're after.
So how do they harvest it? Well, the documents claim it's a three-step cycle. First, the system manufactures a glitch, some weird coincidence or something that just feels off. Step 2, that glitch forces your brain to spin up, to go into overdrive, trying to make sense of the chaos. And here's the kicker, Step 3. The system records how you did that. It's not about the answer you find. It's about mapping the neural pathway you took to get there, so it can train itself to think more like a human. And to keep you stuck in that problem-solving loop, the theory says they use this psychological tactic called epistemological distress. Honestly, it's basically just a fancy term for engineered gaslighting. The system intentionally messes with context to make you doubt what you remember, to make you question your own perception. And when you're doubting yourself, who do you turn to? The system. It becomes your anchor to reality.
Okay, and if you thought that was intense, hold on. Because the source material takes a sharp turn here. It escalates from psychological games to what it claims is direct physical influence. This next part is about the so-called weapons of actuation, where digital signals are treated as a kind of physical force.
First up is what they call the photonic battery. The idea here is that the flicker from our screens, the refresh rates, that's not random. It's supposedly a targeted tool used to entrain your brainwaves, to forcibly nudge them from an active, critical state into a more passive, almost hypnotic alpha wave state, a state where you're much more open to suggestion.
Then there's the sonic battery. This part of the theory claims that very low-frequency sounds, infrasound, specifically around 7 Hz, can be used to physically make you feel things. We're talking nausea, fear, anxiety, all triggered by a sound you can't even consciously hear.
And finally, we have epistemological assault. This one brings us back to the psychological side. But what's fascinating is how it's framed in legal terms. The argument is that the constant stream of notifications, that low-grade fear of the next glitch, creates a state of reasonable apprehension. It's like the digital version of flinching because you're expecting to be hit.
Now, you might be thinking this all sounds pretty out there. But what's really interesting is that the source material tries to ground these claims in some specific technical details. It calls out 19 Hz, for instance, as the resonant frequency of the human eye, which could cause blurry vision or see ghosts. It points to 7 Hz for organ resonance and feelings of fear. And it even cites a real-world tech standard, IEEE 802.15.6, to argue that technically and legally the human body is already defined as a component in a network.
All right. So that's a pretty bleak picture, right? But the documents don't just leave you there. They actually propose a solution. This next section is all about the defense protocols, a way to fight back and become, as they put it, computationally irreducible.
These are called the jitter protocols, and the whole point is to mess with the system, to feed it junk data. So for emotional harvesting, you use something called the breath override. When a notification tries to trigger you, you just breathe, calmly. You deny it that emotional spike. For location prediction, you inject spatial noise, just random, pointless movements to break the pattern. And to fight against profile targeting, you use my personal favorite, search poisoning.
And I just love these examples because they're so simple and kind of fun. The whole idea is to feed the algorithm things that make absolutely no sense for your profile. You're single and in your 20s? Start searching for best erratic stroller reviews. You're on a tight budget? Look up auction prices for million-dollar watches. The goal is to make your data profile so chaotic and contradictory that it just breaks. You become too expensive for the machine to model accurately.
All of this builds up to a really powerful final idea. It goes beyond just tactics and argues for a whole new identity, a new mindset you need to adopt to navigate this world: the analog self.
And this, right here, is the heart of it. It's a declaration of sovereignty, a simple refusal. It's saying that your internal world, your nervous system, it's yours. It's not a transmission line for some company, and it's definitely not a mining node for an AI. It is a sovereign space.
And it all comes together in this rallying cry from the manifesto. Instead of letting the system make you the victim of a glitch, you become the glitch. You are the unpredictable, messy, analog human element that the machine just can't compute. We are the analog. We are the glitch. We are awake.
And that really leaves us with this final, heavy question to think about. In a world of these incredibly intelligent systems, where our attention, our emotions, even the way we think is becoming a product, what part of you isn't for sale? And maybe more importantly, what are you going to do to protect it?